Hey guys, it's your registered nurse over here. In this video, we'll be talking about the histology of the nervous system. Talking about the histology of the nervous system, this refers to the structures that makes up the nervous system. Now, basically, there are two structures that makes up the nervous system, which are the neurons and the neuroglia. The neurons are the functional unit of the nervous system, that is, they carry out the basic functions of the nervous system. All the functions of the nervous system are performed by the neurons, while the neuroglia are supporting structures that are found within the neurons or surrounding the neurons, and they help to support, protect, and maintain the function of these neurons. Now, talking about the neurons is a typical structure of a neuron. The neuron, like we said earlier, are the functional units of the nervous system, and the neurons has various parts which can be divided into two categories. That's three parts which are classified into two. One is the neuronal cell body, which we write as the cell body, and the nerve fiber. Now, the cell body, talking about the cell body simply refers to the main part of the neuron. That is, this part of it is the cell body. This is the cell body, and the cell body contains every organelle like a normal cell. That is a typical cell, which the typical cell and the neuronal cell body are similar in structure, in that it contains similar organelles with typical cell body. Organelles such as the lysosome, the nucleus, the mitochondria, the ribosome, the Golgi apparatus, and the rest of them. But in the neuronal cell body, the ribosome is referred to as the nucleus body. The function of the ribosome still remains the same, in that it produces it synthesizes protein, while the mitochondria produces energy. The lysosome helps in phagocytosis, that is destruction of debris and unwanted materials, while the Golgi apparatus functions in translation of materials around the cell. So that's the function of the cell body and organelles of it that are found within it. Then the next which we'll talk about now is the nerve fibers. Talking about the nerve fibers can be divided into two parts. There are two types of nerve fibers. We have the dendrites and the axon. Now, as the name implies, the dendrites, which means small trees, are tree-like structures that are found around the cell body. The dendrites in most cases are usually more than one or more, and these are the dendrites that are found within it. The function of the dendrite is to receive impulse from surrounding neurons. So it receives impulses from other cells, comes into it, and then into the cell body before it is sent out through the axon. Now, the axon is the second part of the second nerve fiber. I'm talking about the axon. The axon extends immediately from the other end. It's the longest nerve fiber which extends from the cell body. The axon continues from the cell body at a point which is referred to as the axonal hilux. This is the axon hilux. Axon hilux, and from the axon hilux, the axon continues outward. It has an axoplasma, which is the cytoplasm of the axon. Now, this axoplasma is protected by a thin sheet, which is referred to as the axolemma. That is, this thin sheet that is found within it, in the inner part of it, is called the axolemma, and it protects the axoplasm. The axolemma, which protects the axoplasm. Now, the axon is covered by a sheet, which is referred to as the myelin sheath, and the myelin sheath helps to speed up the rate at which impulse is being transmitted within the axon. So this is the myelin sheath, which speeds up the rate at which impulse is transmitted within the axon. And within the axon, that's the myelin sheath that protects the axon, that helps to speed up the rate at which impulse is transmitted, is covered by another sheath, which is referred to as the neurolemma. The neurolemma covers the myelin sheath. Now, there are spaces between each myelin sheath, within one myelin sheath and other, and this space is referred to as the node of Ranvier. node of Ranvier. So it helps to, this refers to as the node of Ranvier, while extending from the tip, that's the distal part of the axon, is the axon terminal. The axon terminal is the distal part of it, which gives rise to the synaptic end bulbs. As this is the axon terminal, AT for short, and it gives rise to the synaptic end bulb, that's the synaptic end bulb, SEB, which contains synaptic vesicles. The function of the synaptic vesicles is to store neurotransmitters. That is, the synaptic vesicles are found within the synaptic end bulbs, and the function in the storage of what? Of neurotransmitters or impulses. So now the next which we'll talk about is the group, what a group of cell body or new cellular structures of the nervous system are called. Now a group of cell bodies, that's a group of neuronal cell bodies. Neuronal cell body has different names. In the central nervous system, a group of neuronal cell body has a name which is different from that of the peripheral nervous system. In the central nervous system, a group of neuronal cell body is referred to as the nucleus. Nucleus, that's for the CNS. And for the peripheral nervous system, a group of neuronal cell body is called a ganglion. And they are usually found above, that's at the outer part of the central nervous system, that's extending from the spinal cord or the brain. You can find the ganglions there. They are formed by a group of neuronal cell bodies. Now the next is the cluster of axon. What's a group of axon called? The cluster of axon, or a bundle of axon also has a different name, and the name for a bundle of axon in the central nervous system, it is called the tract. That's the left tract, or whatever you call it, the tract. That's for the central nervous system. And for the peripheral nervous system, it is referred to as nerves. That's for the peripheral nervous system. Now the next which we will look at is the classification of nerve cells.